Unabated. That's the new word, unabated. That's kind of too big a word. That's like mayonnaise. I'm assuming that's the biggest word I know.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on into the Blitz NFL Player Props for Week 9. We're already into Week 9 here with Derek Carty from EV Analytics. Derek, it is great to be back once again, but wow, we are blazing through the season here.
Yeah, we really are. I'm kind of shocked that we're so far into it now. Off to a bit of a slow start to the year, but last week I thought was a really good one. The week before was decent. Hopefully we're starting to heat up. Hopefully we have a really big week this week. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, did you take a peek at the thumbnail for this week's show?
I didn't know how to react. I mean, every week these just are. There's something.
Justin admitted to spending way too much time trying to get the mustache right before eventually being forced to give up. But it would have been hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been. But yeah, these are fantastic.
Absolutely. Everybody loves them. Clash is probably saying these thumbnails may be getting out of hand. DC looking like he can throw a pigskin a quarter mile in that thumbnail. Looks like one of the many Cleveland Browns QBs of the past. Bogler saying, let's get this bread. You know it. Let's eat this wheat this week. Sports Video saying it's the best show of the week. Hey, we love it too, man. Bogler says, I'm going to say over 0.5 bets on backup QBs. I'm sure we'll have something for you. And let's talk about last week. How was last week for you, Derek? Because it was an okay week for me, but as far as the show went, we had just a boatload of bets. And we did pretty well here. Full season, we're 25-19 now, up 6.5 units. And last week was another good one. 6-4, 2.36 units for us. I'm not going to go through the entire list because, we had such a massive amount. But we were feeling pretty good after last week. What did you think?
Yeah, last week was a good one. And it's been a good season for the show. I think that calculates out to like a 13 or a 14% ROI.
Mm-hmm.
On the season, I'm doing well using the Blitz, not as dominant as years past, but I'm hoping future weeks are going to be really good. I forget where I was going with that. I don't know.
We're always hoping that future weeks are going to be good, and we're hoping for another one this week. We've got some great stuff on the slate.
Last week overall, I did good, but I did not think Puka Nacua was going to play. So I went pretty heavy on overs for all the other Rams receivers, and that did not pan out well. Aside from that, though, I had a great week last week.
That is my fault. I benched Puka in my fantasy league, so he was destined to go off. That was
you could have told me that ahead of time, Tom.
Yeah, that's on me. That's should have taken that into account because you knew that was going to happen. If you benched him, he's going to go off. If you played him, he wasn't going to play. Yeah. That's just how it works. My favorite part of Thursday Night Football this week. The Jets don't play on Sunday. That's a great thing for me. It means I can enjoy my Sunday this week.
And you got to win for last night, so you can just savor it for 10 days or however long you get before the pain of watching the Jets again.
Yeah, I love that we get the mini bye week here and we don't have to watch them. But I'm still not back in on this team. Some fans are already like, did you see that they tweeted? The Jets account tweeted today that Jennifer Melfi. Last week you were saying it's so over, but now you're saying we're so back. What changed? The Jets actually tweeted that. I am not one of those fans. Jets Sports Video saying Jets actually looked kind of nice in the second half last night. That's what they do. They try and get you back, but all we are in the Jets cycle right now is Jets win a few games that they shouldn't and tank their draft stock. Like I've seen this game too many times. I'm not believing in this team. I don't believe in them, but I digress. It's been a good morning for me. Some people that have already tuned in to the college football show, Cover 2. We have a name for it finally. We are Cover 2 now. Shout out to Jim Robinson from the chat. But as some may have heard on there, last night, Halloween, go out with a few friends, went to the bar. Nothing crazy. It was a Thursday night, like all reasonable. But I woke up this morning and I had a dream so vivid that I got a parking ticket for like $150, like a monster ticket. And I woke up and I was like, oh crap, that happened last night. And then I realized I'm like, wait. I dreamed that. It wasn't that I blacked out or didn't remember anything because, again, we were taking it easy. It was just the dream was so vivid. I thought it was real. So I feel like I'm already up 150 on the day today. That's how that math works out.
I think it works that way.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into some plays here. Let's start talking about some props. Do we want to go first on the slate here, Derek?
First one we're looking at is Geno Smith. Under 23.5 completions plus 112 at FanDuel is our best line. And you'll notice most other books have 24.5s, which might, casual bettors would think, oh, well, we're taking the under. We should take the 24.5 because it's higher than 23. But when you look at the juice and you look at the actual expected value, this 23.5 shows quite a bit more than the 24s. 24 is still showing some value. But the 23 is the number that I want here at the plus money. Geno's a quarterback that the Blitz likes a lot. Like, it was a big believer in Geno since like game 2 of him with the Seahawks. It was like, Geno's good. But we're looking at what is a pretty big number here. And it's been a season for the Seahawks where Geno has gone over this number by a lot a few times because he's had games where he's thrown the ball like 50 times.
Yeah.
But it was mostly games where Kenneth Walker didn't play and the team was way more pass heavy. If you look at the 4 games that Kenneth Walker actually played and had like his normal role, it was week 1 where he completed 18 passes. It was the first week back where he completed 30. But then the next 2 weeks were 18 and 21 again. So this is one where I think if you're looking at the overall season body of work for Geno, you're going to think there's less value on the under than there actually is when you consider that the play calling has been different with Kenneth Walker, who they just absolutely love and rave about all the time. And that also kind of coincides his return with them talking about not wanting to be so pass heavy, wanting to run the ball a bit more. So they still project as a pass-heavy team, or at least a pass-leaning team, but not to the extent their full season numbers make it out to be. And so I think we're looking at a little bit of value here.
Yeah. Also worth pointing out, as Sports Videos does, are we projecting DK Metcalf in or out with this number?
I'm projecting him in, so that could only help us if he misses.
Yeah, that could be a very big deal if he misses. Like we were talking on the college football show about some injury news there and some potential options and plays that develops. Keep an eye on the DK Metcalf news, and also there it goes. We have already we've already moved it to minus 102 now, so you've lost the plus money. Yep.
Now it looks like it's almost in line with those 24.5s. You can kind of pick whichever one you want at this point. 23.5 still showing a little bit more value.
Yeah. I grabbed it just before that happened. Don't worry, I'm not moving markets here, but I'm very very happy that I got that in there right there. But it's also proof that we're not front running these numbers. All right. Let's move on here. Second up on the list, we're going to be sticking in the quarterback market. You actually, yes, I wanted to check and make sure. You've got a couple plays that involve Trevor Lawrence this week. We can talk about both of them here.
Yeah, so we have Trevor Lawrence here. Over 20.5 completions, even money at DraftKings is our best number. MGM has a 19.5, but again, when you consider the probability of it hitting compared to the odds you're being offered, the 20.5 is better than the 19.5. Most books, though, 20.5, somewhere around that number. This one's scary because first, Trevor Lawrence has been, started off the year terrible, has looked better of late, but Christian Kirk is out for the year.
Yep.
Brian Thomas Jr.
is hurt.
Travis Etienne and Gabriel Davis are all game time decisions this week. This one doesn't feel like a good one to bet the over on because he's got nobody to throw to potentially. The Blitz right now is projecting Etienne in, and it's projecting Thomas Jr. and Gabriel Davis out. But he does have Evan Ingram, who is a reception machine. He's going to potentially have to check down more to running backs here. They might have to change up the game plan to prioritize completions over yards. Like, this is just one of those ones where it's gross, and the narrative that the media will build up to it, or that you see it and you think about is oh my God, you can't bet Trevor Lawrence overs because he has nobody to throw to this week. And that's why we're doing it. We see this all the time where the gross side is usually the side that offers us value. And it doesn't feel good, at least when you bet it. But at the end of the year, it feels good because we profit on these. And that's kind of what we're banking on here with Trevor Lawrence. They should be playing from behind. Should be throwing the ball a good amount. I would like to hope. Oh.
I saw Justin throw that back up in the chat there. Hey,
So
I believe in a quarterback that good looking. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And so that's where we're at with Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's not the only prop. We're actually going with 2 T-Law props this week.
Yes.
Because we are going to the interceptions market as well.
We are. So we'll have to pop over to EV Analytics to see those lines because the simulator doesn't sim interceptions just yet. The Caesars line is stale. That's gone now. I think they're 114 or something.
Yeah, everybody's having troubles with their Caesars.
Yeah, the Caesars lines right now are a mess. But I think our best line here is at Rivers or Canby Books plus 125, under half an interception. You can see the Blitz is projecting, under a half, quite a bit different than the implied projection. And we're getting it at plus money. So this one shows good plus value. Again, it's a gross one because it's Trevor Lawrence with nobody to throw to. But we're being offered good odds on it. And, he doesn't have to have good receivers to not throw an interception. That interceptions are very, very noisy, very random. Quality receivers doesn't impact it a whole lot anyway. So yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, we got I'm assuming. Oh yeah, Kyle says under 0.5 interceptions plus 130 at 365.
Oh, what is it? What's the number?
Plus 130.
Plus 130. Nice. Yeah. That's good to know. So yeah, so that'll be our best line then.
Yep. ESPN is at plus 125, and Brooke KGB says DK just nuked it. Wonder who did that.
My bad.
We were on cover 2 before this. College football props.
We have the 130 here, 365. Yeah. We'll use that as our best line for tracking.
Yeah, college football props. Like when we were doing cover 2 before this, it is hilarious. The lower liquidity in those markets. Chris would say something, and then it's just 5 seconds later, gone.
Yeah, that's the way it works. It feels good to move markets.
It does and it doesn't. It's like I'm flat. It's like getting limited at your first book. You're like, I'm flattered it happened the first time, and then every time after that, you're like, all right, this is getting
all right. Yeah, this sucks, but no, it is cool, and I think it does show kind of the power of the projections and the influence that we have on these markets. So those are our Trevor Lawrence props.
Nathaniel Pucci says, is that anti-correlated with the completions prop? I disagree. I don't think it is because, well, first off, I mean, one is definitely hoping for more passes than the other, but I don't think that there's enough correlation there because of, like you said, how noisy interception props are.
Yeah, I don't think the correlation is going to be very, very high there. I think winning. Yeah, I'm not concerned.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on down our list here. And I'm excited that we get to talk about this one because how many times have we talked about Saquon on this show? And it's because the Blitz shows a lot of good edges on him, but he's really good. And so we're actually looking at a Saquon under this week.
Yeah, the Blitz has been showing value on Saquon unders this year. I haven't bet any of them up until this point. But I'm on it this week. I mean, the yardage ones have been getting kind of destroyed because he's averaging 6 yards a carry and 110 yards per game, which is just like not sustainable. Like he will not continue doing that if you keep playing football games. Yeah. But the variance has kind of killed any of those at this point. But the volume ones have actually been good. You look at his game logs this year; he's only gone over this in 3 of his 7 games. You can see the Blitz is projecting, about 3 rushes under the number here. This is a team where they're going to give Saquon a bunch of the rushing attempts, but they're also going to have some of them siphoned off by Jalen Hurts. They're facing a Seattle offense that plays a very slow pace. So they, assuming Jacksonville is at all efficient, they should hopefully be chewing some clock, not leaving as much as normal for Philly in this game. And I mean, there's even the chance of a complete blowout here if Jacksonville really is terrible. and Saquon not getting there because they just rest him in the fourth quarter and they give Gainwell and Shipley carries instead because they just don't need to use Saquon.
And also worth pointing out, that he will do that because as we saw last week when Nick Sirianni sat him down and was like, hey, you're 13 yards from your record. Do you want to go for it? And he said, nah, let the young guys go.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Under 19.5 -115 at Bet365. Jim Robinson says the Jets are the best team in the league at leaving touchdowns on the 1 yard. Just catching strays out here, man. We're not even talking about the Jets. That's not even come on, man. Let me enjoy the 5 seconds that I had, 5 seconds of summer that I've got here with the Garrett Wilson catch. I'm going to get a gigantic back tattoo of that one. All right. Next up here, we already went to T-Law, so we're going back to the Chuba stank. We are going to Chuba Hubbard here. And we have loved this prop.
Yeah, we're going back to it. Chuba Hubbard, over 14.5 carries, -120 at DraftKings is our best line. I think 365 has the same line. Everywhere's about the same. Rivers at the same. ESPN's close. The Blitz is projecting close to 19 carries here for Chuba. We bet him last week. We just got there, and it was a sweat because they were down, and they had no business running the ball to get Chuba over this line, and they did, which was part of what I said last week anyway. It was like, even when they're down, they're still going to give Chuba some runs. Jonathan Brooks was looking like he might play this week, but a couple hours ago it came out he's probably not going to play. So it's another week of a heavy workload for Chuba. Probably playing from behind because they're Carolina and that's what they do. They're 7-point underdogs. Not ideal, but he's getting, probably the biggest share of carries of any running back in football right now. And this is a team that, even though they're bad and will be forced into throwing at some point, they want to run the ball first and foremost. They will come out running. You'll see a few Chuba carries early. This one has just been money all year. Yeah.
And Sports Video saying good news. It can't get worse than the last time they played the Saints. Bogler says, is that Spencer Rattler's music? I mean, the Saints are certainly not the team that they were the first time that they played them.
No, it does look like Carr's going to be back this week, which you'd almost prefer this to be. Well, you definitely would prefer this to be Rattler for Chuba or even Jake Haener or anyone else, because New Orleans might actually be good again this week. But you can see that the value on this is still insane. This is with the Blitz projecting them to be trailing.
Yeah. Now, is Carr definitely back? What's the latest on that?
I don't think it's 100%, but it looks kind of like pretty likely he's playing.
I literally cannot find
I think books even have markets open for him now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, worse for Carolina, but I'm still not taking New Orleans if I'm alive in a survivor pool. It could be one of those weird ones. On the road, I feel like the Eagles are the better play here. Sports Video saying 2 more projected rush attempts than Barkley seems kind of insane. Love you though, Carty. I mean, it's different players, different systems, different league. Like it's just not the same. And that's what I'm going to say there. It's just different. Carr was a full practice participant today. No injury designation. Good for him. DT plus the point said, what's a buy point for you on Flacco pass TDs? I played early at plus 150, seen much lower now. Okay. I guess we will be fielding everybody's questions, obviously, but I read that one aloud. So how about we go to Flacco real quick here?
Yeah. Passing TDs. Let's jump in over here. All right. Passing TDs for Mr. Flacco. Market has been moving up. You can see the Blitz doesn't think there's any value at the numbers we're getting right now. I don't know where it opened. Maybe there was some value, but it looks pretty efficient right now.
Mm-hmm. Jim Robinson saying, Carty, if you're projecting 19 attempts for Chuba, that's plus 270 at Caesars.
I mean, go right ahead.
Yeah. I might look at like a 17, something like that.
It's a big number, but I mean, he's gotten that in a number of games this year. He got 21 one game, 18, 17, 15. Like he's only not gone over the baseline here 3 times. And for 2 of them were the first 2 weeks when they were alternating drives with Miles Sanders. Since he's been the lead back, he's gone over this every week except for 1 and by a good amount in some of the weeks. Like I don't understand why they continue to set this so low. And I think it has to be because they're the Panthers and they're terrible. And there will eventually be a game where they can't move the ball at all. And they run like 30 plays and Chuba gets nowhere near his line. But as long as they're playing just like a normal bad NFL offense, you know, he's a good bet to go over.
Yeah. All right. Last one up here. I mean, I'm still counting. Should he count as a backup? He is definitely the starter at this point because the Browns finally were forced to go to him. The GOAT, Jameis Winston. Tate says we like famous Jameis over 2.5 carries at plus 112. And that is Tate was reading our minds here because that is literally the last play that we wanted to talk about here. That
is exactly what we're looking at. So we're looking at Jameis Winston over 2.5 carries. Hold on. There we go. Plus 115 at DraftKings at 365 are our best lines, but you can bet it at any of these traditional books. It's a low number for a guy who is kind of mobile, is willing to scramble, is in an offense that we saw with Deshaun Watson. Like they're willing to give him, their mobile-ish quarterbacks designed carries in and outside of the red zone, especially inside the red zone. I need to pull this up real quick. Deshaun Watson this year got 23% of the designed runs inside the red zone for the Browns. Jameis Winston's probably stepping into I think that's inflated. You're not going to project 23%. The Blitz, I think, is only projecting about 12, half of that, like 12 for Jameis this week. But that's a nice role to step into with a line this low. Plus, there's the chance for kneel downs. There's the chance for scrambles. There's a chance for just regular design runs. And we're getting it at plus money. You can see the Blitz is projecting about 4 here. So I like this one a lot.
Listen, you can't bet against Jameis because if you try to you can't put a ceiling on him when there's people on the moon, right? That man, just the GOAT of content. Again, like belongs in the Hall of Fame with his own wing, not a bust. Own wing, just dedicated to all of the Jameis moments. Sports video saying Jameis is basically Jalen Hurts. No, he's a way better passer than Jalen Hurts. Like, come on.
That's the only difference between the two of them, though.
Yeah. I mean, the 30-30 season will go down in lore forever. Tyler Jackson saying he's Jalen Hurts without the design run. Again, I'm actually serious when I say, come on, Jameis throws the football. Like, I get that he had 30 interceptions, but he also had 30 touchdowns in that season. He's the only guy. Like you get there by being good at throwing the football.
He's a decent quarterback, and the interceptions, like we kind of said earlier, like they're noisy. They're based a lot on depth of target. Like if you're throwing the ball deep, you're gonna throw some picks.
Yeah.
Jameis is a decent quarterback, which is neither here nor there for this. But if he wants to do a Jalen Hurts impression this week for me, I am totally fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be over this in the first quarter.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, that is going to take us through our props here, and we'll recap them in just a moment. But I've got a question for you, Derek. While everyone else drops their questions into the chat, let's take a look at Cedric Tillman because we got absolutely roasted on his under last week. What are we looking at with him now? Because we certainly have to adjust these wide receivers for the Browns, given Jameis is the quarterback now.
Yeah, I think it might have been 2 weeks ago even we lost on Tillman, but early.
I mean, I lost on him last week. I know that.
Oh, okay. So you can see there's no value on Tillman here. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that I feel like has just been super hyped up this week. The fantasy community, everyone's talking about him as like the top waiver wire ad. In DFS, people are talking about him as like the best cheap option this week. There's talk about his target share and how he looks in this offense with Winston now. If anything, based on all that, I'd almost expect there to be some undervalue, but the yardage wasn't showing anything. It does look like there's a bit of overvalue on the receptions, not a lot, maybe a little book dependent, but if you're looking for something, it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah. I don't hate it there. I mean, it also just reminds me of a tweet I saw this week that was like 2009 fantasy football analysis. This guy got 8 targets last week. He's a must add in all your leagues in 2020.
Oh, I know who that is. Another Brown.
Yeah. and 2024 analysis is, well, this guy got 8 targets, but his red zone DVOA average yards per target was 0.3, so you can't add him. Like, we've gone so far. We do have some great questions coming up here. I know that we're going to go to Davon Achan first, because Sports Videos is asking about his under receiving yards, which is a prop that I definitely saw this week and was curious about. But while you're doing that, Derek, real quick, just to recap here, the week 9 props that we are looking at: Geno Smith under 23.5 completions plus 112 at the FanDuel. Trevor Lawrence over 20.5 completions, even money on DraftKings. We're also going to be looking at T-Law under 0.5 receptions plus 130 at Bet365. Saquon under 19.5 rush attempts minus 110 at DK. And Chuba Hubbard over 14.5 rushing attempts minus 120 at DraftKings. And finally, of course, famous Jameis himself, Jabu wins over 2.5 rush attempts plus 115 at the Bet365 here. Let's talk Davon Achan, a name that I will never pronounce properly.
I feel like I screw it up every time.
Same.
There is a little bit of value on his under here. I don't love it because he's the kind of guy who just, like, he could get there in I mean, 1 play or 2 plays. Like, he can really be, he's explosive, obviously. But this is going to be a fairly slow-paced game. Mostert is healthy now. They talked this week about getting Jalen Wright more involved, like how, they like what they see out of him. So it's possible that eats into a little bit of Achan's work. Mm-hmm. There's enough value where you can definitely consider this one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so scared to do it, but it does have good value on the board there. Next up for us, Cheeseburger Eddie says Nick Chubb carries yards. I forgot the Browns have Nick Chubb back. Don't look now. The Browns are suddenly not bad at football. Wild how just removing your bad quarterback can do that.
So right now it looks like not really any value. You have this small middle here. The one thing to consider with Chubb, though, is that Jerome Ford is one of these guys this week who's really up in the air whether he's going to play or not. Right now, I'm projecting Ford to play. If he sits out, Chubb's projection probably goes up a little bit. But I don't think I'm touching this either way right now. Certainty.
Yeah. Let's see here. Howdy, 2 weeks ago, that was a high school connection with DTR talking about Cedric Tillman. Derek M, can we look at Taysom Hill rush yards?
We can, although I don't think that Sims because he's a weird position. It looks though more or less like it's in line with the market though. I would imagine you're not going to see a lot of value on this.
Yeah. David Levine saying typically avoid anytime touchdown, but FanDuel has some 50% profit boost. Any leans there? Ashton Jeanty.
I do basically know anytime touchdown, so I haven't even looked at it. I couldn't tell you what the odds are. If you're getting a boost, you probably will be able to find some value, but I couldn't tell you where it's going to be.
If you're getting a boost, take a long shot. Take somebody who's like, your Foster Moreaus of the world here. Take something like that. That's what I'm throwing out there for you. Rob Holden asks Aaron Jones under 17.5 rushing attempts at minus 110 at MGM. I think I already bet this one.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I talked about this one on a different show earlier, but this one is massive value. There's so many reasons for this one. First, the Vikings are a pass-heavy offense, one of the most pass-heavy in football. They are 5-point favorites here against the Colts, but Flacco's the quarterback now. This could be kind of a closer back and forth type of game. They're indoors, which tends to promote more passing. And 17.5 is that's the number you give a workhorse. I mean, Saquon Barkley was 18.5s and 19.5s. Yeah. Derrick Henry gets 18.5 or 19.5s. Aaron Jones doesn't get their share of the workload. And they came out this week and they said, hey, we need to manage Aaron Jones's workload over the rest of the season. We don't want to treat him like a workhorse.
Yeah.
We want to get Ty Chandler in there. We want to get Cam Akers some snaps in games where we have some snaps to go around. This number looks way too big to me. It's not even like he's done this much this year. I think he's only gone over this in 2 or 3 games this year, One of them was last game, and I think that's why it's set where it is, because it's just an overreaction to that.
Yeah. Jovel also asks Achane unders with Tua back. Huge difference in receiving game splits with him on or off. Yeah. Big under versus over guy, but this is a tough spot. I mean, we just talked about the Achane one. That's why I skipped the line there to get to you. We have an edge on the under. I'm probably not going to be playing it this week.
I don't think I will either.
Yeah. LD Yank saying books are terrified to put a Daniel Jones under 0.5 passing touchdowns out there, charging almost $3 for under 1.5. That is so absurd. And Zimbabwe. Oh, that's a fantastic name. Not my favorite of our comment section, because that is XL spreadsheets. But yeah, that's just a genius name. Zimbabwe says, hi, Derek. I notice a lot of the times the Blitz projections auto-populated by Unabated are considerably different than the most current Blitz numbers on Roto Grinders. Which should I be looking at for betting? I mean, I will throw this to you, but I will also just say that the difference here is that the Roto Grinders numbers, I believe, are already converted to medians. And like, if I'm not incorrect on that, the numbers that you see there have already been run through a simulator and converted. The numbers that you see here on Unabated are the means, and then the simulator is what's converting them to medians there for you. Am I on track there?
So close.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that Roto Grinders are meant for daily fantasy, like that's what that description is for.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just straight unadjusted means. They're basically assuming everyone is going to play, more or less 100%, like especially quarterbacks. Like I'm for the projections there, like Patrick Mahomes is being given 100% of the quarterback snaps, which for fantasy purposes is fine because it's apples to apples. All the quarterbacks are getting 100%, like it doesn't matter. But when you talk about betting, where we're talking about over and unders, and it's not relative to other quarterbacks, it's compared to the actual book lines, you do have to account for things like injury risk, blowouts. Patrick Mahomes is not realistically, his mean is not 100% of the snaps. It's maybe like 95% of the snaps or something like that. And so the number you see at Unabated is kind of an adjusted mean that accounts for that type of thing.
Mike McDaniel really protecting Tua too. Yep. Cheeseburger Eddie also has Jacoby Myers receiving yards also interest me. I believe I won on this. I cashed on this last week.
Yeah, this was a good one last week.
Yeah, he's been a good player to hit over.
Let's see. Looks like I think he was set around like 41 last week, though. So the books have adjusted him up about 10 yards, if I recall correctly. So it's looking like not a lot of value here.
Yeah. Let's see. Matt Budzinski asks, are you guys monitoring any futures markets? We are not, but I'll take a peek at the future simulator for you in a minute here. Let's answer some more prop questions, but we've got a lot of time. We made it through our props on the show pretty early. So, Matt, I promise you before the end of the show, we'll take a peek into the simulator real quick. But right now, Sports Video says any value on Gardner Minshew props just for the bet.
Let's take a look. I bet Minshew last week, and that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I bet Minshew over 199.5 passing yards, and he got there on the last drive. But there was a point in the last drive where I looked at how many yards were left on the field, and it was only enough if he drove the whole rest of the field to get 199. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be the worst beat of all time. And then we got an offensive holding, which added an extra 10 yards of possible yardage for him. And we got there, and that was amazing.
Dude, the worst beat that I may have ever seen was last night. There was a guy who had Malachi Corley first touchdown at like 100-1.
Oh,
that's
bad.
As you say in video games, that's when you uninstall. Like I would retire from betting at that point. That's a beat you don't come back from. Yeah,
that's brutal. So yeah, a little bit of value on Minshew's under here. Probably not enough for me to bet. We can look at the completions and see if it's any different. No, even less on that. So doesn't really look bettable to me this week.
Nothing really on the completions, nothing really there. I mean, he's bad, but so are the Bengals. Like that defense, I don't know. Let's see. Joel Bogosh, we ask it every week. Sam Darnold, 300 plus passing yards at plus 310. Let's take a look at Sling and Sammy.
Yeah, we will take that. This is another one where I only didn't bring him up because I've already hit it earlier this week, but his yards, his completions, his attempts, they all show really good value here. So you can see the Blitz is projecting about 300. So I love over 249.5. I love if you're getting, what do you say, plus 300 or something on over 300.
Yep.
That sounds like great value to me. Darnold has been great this year. The only problem is he hasn't gotten to this kind of number enough because there's been a lot of just like they're blowing them out, or he's had short fields and, has been too efficient and, just doesn't get there on the yardage, even though he has, a 4-touchdown game or something stupid like that. That's kind of the risk here, is that something like that happens. But otherwise, like based on how often they throw the ball, based on the number of plays that should be run, based on the quality of Darnold himself and his receivers, TJ Hawkinson is back this week, and they said no limitations on him, so that'll be nice. Darnold, this 249 is way too low for Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, some would say he's playing at a level that some might call MVP worthy.
Some might say that. I wouldn't argue with them.
Some might say that. Some might also be holding like a 50-1 or a 35-1 Darnold MVP ticket and really want that to come through.
That would be so nice.
That would be, I think I do. I got to double check if it was 34 or 54. I got to remember, but that would be very, very nice, especially because Patrick Mahomes should not win MVP. I don't care if your team's undefeated. You lead the league in interceptions. Like, come on, man. Come on. This is absurd. That's more than that would be even more egregious than Joel Embiid winning it over Jokic getting a third in a row because they were just tired of giving it to Jokic. All right. If you like Aaron Jones under rush attempts, do you like Darnold over pass attempts or yards? We have answered that question.
Yes, I like all of the Darnold overs.
Yes. Rashad White and Chase Brown rushing attempts? Question mark.
We can take a look. Rashad White we hit last week, but looks like they're not available unless they just got added. So I'm going to do a refresh and see, because if they just got added. What's that?
Try typing in White. Maybe it's Rashad.
I can try that.
He spells it with a C.
They might have just got added. Only FanDuel. Yeah. But it looks like it's right in line with the Blitz. There's no value on that.
Yeah, they were a little higher last week, and it was like, but the big problem was no one had any idea how to get him there. No one had any markets up, like, because you didn't know if Bucky Irving was going to play.
Yeah, with the whole Bucky Irving thing. So some books were taking him down.
Yeah.
Looks like here. Is that a real line?
Maybe. It is Bet365. Those are sometimes stale.
Ooh, can someone confirm if that's a real line? Because I mean, just the spread between books here is insane. Bet365 and ESPN 16.5. And then Rivers 14 and FanDuel 13.
Hold up. Zach Moss is doubtful to out, and Bounty Hamster.
Don't bet that. Don't bet that. I still have Zach Moss projected in. That must have just come through the wire while we've been on the show.
Yeah. Bounty Hamster says it is a real line. I just took it. Godspeed. Maybe you can cash out. Bogler says no lineup on 365.
Yeah, don't bet that. If right now this projection for Chase Brown is based on Zach Moss playing.
Yeah.
So if he's not going to, this projection is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
David, is that FanDuel line real? Because that might wind up being something. We'll have to see. I'll have to run a projection after the show.
Yeah, can't imagine that they're not poaching that one out there. Let's see. We got a lot of comments coming in right now. David Levine said, yes. Howdy saying, be careful cashing out at 365. Maybe it will slip by player props, but they generally don't like it. Okay. Good point there. ESPN bet has under 16.5, says, going back up here. What does Andrew Rivers ask, what does the Blitz think of Downs receptions?
I know this is one that has moved a ton since the open, and I think it liked it at the. Oh, we have to go to the Blitz. Not blended. Downs. So it's projecting about a full reception over. Actually, this MGM line is not bad. Most books when I was looking before were like this minus 175, minus 184 kind of thing. I think he opened at plus money. You could get him at like plus 105 or plus 110 when he opened, which I liked a lot.
Yeah.
But at this point, not a lot of value when you have to pay juice like this, even though the projection is substantially over.
Let's see. Rico Dowdle attempts on the Cowboys game, and also Dak passing yards. We'll hit one then the other.
Know about Dak passing yards. It looked like Dowdle. Probably not much value here. It looks pretty in line.
I'm still so mad because I had his under last week, and let me tell you, I feel that should have cashed because he didn't play. I correctly called that. Just saying, he did not have 11 rush attempts in the game.
No, he didn't.
He got the W.
It does look like maybe a little bit of value on the over 9.5 here. This game projects for an insane amount of plays run. Like both of these teams play really fast. It's indoors. They're both good offenses, which is a good segue into Dak because I've taken Dak stuff already. I know that the Blitz loves it.
I think I already have some Dak too.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see another one that the Blitz is projecting for like 300 yards because it just thinks his game environment is insanely good. Yeah. He has moved up throughout the week. You could have gotten better numbers earlier, but you can still see like that's still great value on the yards. I think the completions and I think even the attempts earlier this week I got even 25.5 completions, you're still getting massive value on.
Yeah. I got 24.5 yesterday.
Yeah, it's a big the attempts. We can't see the projection here, but yeah, all three markets are looking really good for Dak. I would definitely have at least, I would definitely have a bet of Dak this week.
Yeah. Also, by the way, just a plus EV move for you if you are in the Atlanta area this weekend and have nothing to do on Saturday. Tickets for the Atlanta playoff game are dirt cheap. Go see Atlanta versus Inter Miami. You can spend like $50 for the entire day. Just do it. It's one of the last chances you're going to get to see one of the greatest players of all time play. Go. Like, tickets are cheap. Go to the game. Trust me. I almost flew out there for it. All right. Next question up here. Let's see. We got Joe Flacco value? Question mark?
Not a lot. We'll show it, but there wasn't a lot when I was looking before. Yeah, like you can see, and I mentioned in the past, like even though 20% for a lot of markets is kind of like my threshold of like, yeah, this looks good. For passing yards, I like to see higher. I like to see at least like 40. There's also quite a bit of uncertainty with Flacco. Like,
is he elite?
More just with the play calling of the Colts. Everyone like is assuming, like, okay, Flacco instead of Richardson, like they're just going to let him air it out, which, I mean, you looked at what happened with Cleveland last year when he came in, like they became way more pass heavy when Flacco came in. You look at the games this year that Anthony Richardson has been out. They have been more pass heavy than Flacco, but this is still a coach that historically has been more run heavy, was very run heavy with Richardson. We expect them to be more pass heavy, but like where on that spectrum of like, okay, they're super run heavy with Richardson. Are they going to be more in the middle with Flacco? Are they going to be super pass heavy? Like there's such a wide range of where it can actually be. The Blitz, I guess, is kind of somewhere in the middle. So for me, it's not showing enough value. There's uncertainty. I'm not betting this one.
Yeah. Lad McConkey. Still can't believe that's a real name. Lad McConkey yards. Any value?
I would think at this point, value on him has dried up. The Blitz has definitely liked him early in the year, but yeah, the market is kind of caught up on him. Quentin Johnson looks like he's going to play this week. Hayden Hurst is going to be back. Looks like DJ Shark has a real chance of playing this week. Yeah. So yeah, probably not a ton of value on McConkey at this point.
Balin Hefferman wants to know Bo Nix passing yards against a Ravens defense that has been less than good.
Well, let's take a look.
Shout out to Bo Nix and the Broncos.
Defensive stuff is definitely noisier than people want to believe. Just because Baltimore's been getting torn up in the past game so far this year doesn't mean that's going to continue. Like that tends to not be a very sticky stat. You can see the Blitz really doesn't see a ton of value here.
Yeah. Let's see. What about Brown over 13? Well, we've already talked about him. Let's go. I gotta scroll all the way down here. Jovel says Kayshon Boutte under 29.5 receiving yards. I mean, I hate this because I have bet a bunch of his unders, and I think I've gotten burned on every single one of them.
Yeah,
I'm
showing a little value here. A little value, but
I'm passing.
It's not. I mean, you don't want to be overreactive to getting burnt a couple times. Like I've been burnt on him too.
Yeah.
Like they've talked about how they kind of like him. He's been out there running a bunch of routes, but last week was the first time he ever really like commanded any sort of target share.
Yeah.
And the Patriots offense is pretty bad.
Also, who's going to be the quarterback this week?
And it's possible this week that Tennessee, their practice report today, like nobody practiced, like their entire offense. Like this could really be like scrubs and scrubs and scrubs for Tennessee, and KC or New England actually is like leading this game and not having to throw very much when they don't want to throw that much to begin with anyway. I don't hate this one. I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, Jovel said he dead ass only went over last week on 238 on the last drive. He did, and I was very annoyed. I was very upset.
Last drive. Yeah.
New England said they want to get Javon Baker more involved as well, which is very
they did say that, which is nice. Yeah. I don't think that will be at the expense of Boutte. Probably more at the expense of like.
What's Demario Douglas at? Because Cheeseburger Eddie's asking about him too.
We can take a look at him.
And then just a sports video saying, Carty, you want blended projections for the rush attempts on Brown? The Moss. Yeah, the Moss news.
It doesn't matter though because the Blitz projection is invalid.
Exactly.
Demario Douglas showing no value.
Mm-hmm. Bogler says Drake May is still a game time decision too. But that's a very good point.
Worth noting right now, I am projecting Brissett as the quarterback.
Yeah. Howdy saying good shot TV. Thank you. Let's see. Javon Nitish wants to know about Mark Andrews under receiving yards. Shout out to Mark Andrews and shout out to National Tight End Day. I'm very done with it. We talk about it way too much, but then the tight ends go out and actually perform on it. We missed that. We missed that in our handicapping last week. Like that's the problem is we don't want to talk about it. We're like, okay, this is kind of dumb. And then every tight end goes and has their first good game of the season. It's not a coincidence.
It is pretty funny how that worked out. A little bit of value on the under here. Probably not enough for me. Baltimore's passing offense is kind of overperforming this year. They're pretty big favorites here against Denver, so they shouldn't have to throw a whole lot. They're adding Deontay Johnson, to the mix this week. They have Likely, obviously, in there still. Andrews has not been getting a ton of work. A little bit more of late. So a little value on the under, but probably not enough for me.
Also, real quick here, Hamster is saying 365 has Chase Brown over 20 attempts or 20 plus attempts at 5-1.
I like that. And they're facing Vegas this week, right? Like they could be playing with a big lead. I kind of like that.
Yeah, like that seems really nice.
Yeah, I'm on board for that one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good play right there. I might if I can still play it, I'd like to pick it up later on when I'm doing my weekly drive to Arizona. Jarek M wants to know Ray Davis rushing attempt seems a little low at 4.5. It does seem pretty low.
Let's take a quick look at that. I mean, they've been giving Cook so much work.
Yeah.
Ray Davis. Yeah, it's pretty much in line with the Blitz. It looks like there is a stray 5.5 out there. You have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But it does show a little bit of value. The Blitz is projecting about 4.5. This is going to be a fairly slow-paced game. They have been giving Cook a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Since he kind of had that game where Cook was out, hasn't really gotten a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a little bit of value. I don't love paying minus 150 for it. And it's kind of right at that threshold for me, but you can if you want.
Big Moan says Barkley over 85.5 yards. I mean, I know we talked about his carries and like the under there, but what about his yardage?
Definitely not.
He has been a machine.
Yeah, I don't care that he's averaging 110 and has gone over this. It seems like every week. You just 84.5 yards is a ton for any running back. It's just a lot. He's averaging 6 yards per carry, and that's not going to continue. You take his same volume and you put him down to like a more reasonable, like 4.5 yards per carry or something. And, you know, this is about where he's at. He's not getting 100+ yard games.
Yeah.
So yeah, running back efficiency is super noisy, and betting on it to continue is never smart. I don't think I'm betting the rushing yards here.
Yeah, we like the attempts, but I'm staying away.
Yeah, we did it earlier. Like, I like the under attempts. I'll take the under attempts before I take the yards. But if you are going to bet the yards, the under is definitely the sharp side.
Mm-hmm. All right. I promise we take a look at the futures market. So last question here, Alvin Kamara under 20.5 at ESPN.
I'm guessing this is receiving.
No, I believe this is attempts, rush attempts.
He's not 20.5 attempts. Oh my God, he's 20.5 attempts. Bet it. We're putting this on the card. This
my God.
This is a full
emergency
play. We'll take it. There's no way. Oh my God. Okay, yeah.
What news? What could possibly be this?
Is Kendre Miller out? Hold on. That could be.
I mean, who cares? He doesn't play anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Dennis Allen hates him with the passion of it. That he hates him more than Deion Sanders hates Shiloh.
Oh, hold on. No Kendre Miller and no Jamal Williams. Okay, never mind. Let's hold off on this for a second.
All right.
Yeah, okay. So that's what this is going to be. Kendre, both of the backups are both out.
Yep.
Oh, wow. It dropped to 15.5. The 20.5 is still probably too high here.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be way too high. Kamara will get more work than the Blitz is projecting here, but it's also possible they blow out Carolina and they're not going to want to lean on him to like ice the game. You know, they've kind of shown in previous weeks, like they don't want to run Kamara into the ground. They will give carries to the backups if they're playing with a big lead, which against Carolina could easily happen.
Yeah.
So Kamara's workload will go up, but I don't think we're projecting him for like all the work by any means. Taysom's going to get some, and there will be whoever the backup running back winds up being. I'm trying to think of who the what's his name? I get Bub Means and the other rookie stupid Bib, I don't know, whatever his name is. Someone can tell me. They'll have to call him up from the practice squad, but someone else will get some work here, especially with him, I would think.
Yeah, maybe look at those Taysom rush attempts. Just I'm just thinking like if that's the way you want to bet it. All right, I did promise some futures action here, and we got to get to that before we get out of here. So taking a look at the future simulator here for you guys, we're going to start off with win the Super Bowl. Some value at the top of the board. I'm using the Massey Peabody numbers here for my simulation. I mean, we're saying that you are getting a little bit of value on the Chiefs right at the top. We're definitely very Chiefs heavy, like most places are. I don't know that you're really getting enough value at this price to make it worth actually betting. Some stuff that's jumping out at me here. The Eagles are a little bit of value if you want one of these mid-tier. I love the Vikings at 20-1, 21 to 1 at FanDuel if you're liking that. And Tampa's a nice long shot. If you want to take a long shot here and believe in Baker, you got something that you can go play there for a little bit of value and to just have an interesting ticket. I'm sitting on a Ravens 10-1 that I know will fail in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, but that's what you're really playing for at this point, right? Let's take a look at the conference market here. A little bit better a little bit more value on the Lions. If that Sugar House number is there, which I do not believe that Bet Rivers number is still there. There's no way. There's absolutely no way those Bet Rivers numbers are still fresh because the Vikings at 33-1 would be an insta play on the futures market there. 49ers. This is a team that I'm in buying low on here. We're seeing them start to get back healthy. We're seeing them start to get players back. I feel like this price is only going to go up. I may take a dip into the futures market tonight and play some 49ers conference. What do you think, Derek?
Sorry, I'm looking into this Saints running back stuff. I wasn't even
right.
listening to you. I apologize.
All right. In that case, I will let me know when you have something there. But the last thing I'll look at here, the win total markets. Trying to derive some stuff. I don't really like the Browns under markets at this point. I think that the ratings are not accounting for Jameis quite as much as they should be yet. You are getting some apparent value on the over 12.5 on the Lions. I'm going to pass on that one though. But I would say that my favorite thing here would definitely be the 49ers to win the conference, which would be a very, very lame conclusion to the season if we have a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl again. No TM saying you're thinking of Mims. Denzel Mims?
No,
Another
not Denzel Mims. Jordan Mims, I think it is.
Yeah.
Bub Meadens and Jordan Mims they're the same person in my mind,
Yes.
and I just mix their names up constantly.
And Derek M says 49ers to win the NFC West at plus 110. Also not a bad bet at all there. But that is going to do it for us on the show here, because in just a couple minutes, the NBA show has to go live for members of the Unabated NBA package. And they are absolutely panicking and blowing up my Discord right now because I am not here yet. So that is going to do it for us on the show here today. Derek, thank you so much as always. One more quick recap for anybody. We got Geno, Trevor, Saquon, Trevor again, Chuba, and Jameis Winston as the numbers that we were actually looking at there. Keep an eye on that Saints running back situation and see what happens there. And that is going to do it for us on the show today. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Shout out to everyone in the chat being absolutely awesome. And as always, let's cash some tickets. We'll see you next week, everybody. Good luck this weekend. Have a good one.